Welcome friends to the final episode of Exploring Acadia National Park. I hope you've enjoyed this series as much as I have. While this adventure comes to a close, a new one begins. And this t-shirt I'm wearing is a hint of what's coming. Anyway, in an earlier episode of Acadia, I attempted but failed twice to make a photograph of Jordan Pond for a large print on my living room wall. Now, I may or may not have been successful on my third attempt, but those results later. But I did something different for this last video. I was so moved by Otter Cliff, as I mentioned in the previous video, that I'd be returning for sunrise when the light would hopefully be better. I did return, and the light was indeed better. Now, what I didn't do was record any video. Now, I'm going to be honest, recording content on location is not easy. It's very, very time consuming. Sometimes I just want to immerse myself in the moments and make photographs of those experiences. So, for the first time in my videos, I did just that. I spent the morning shooting handheld and didn't record any extra video. Now remember, for me, it's not one tripod, it's usually 2 or 3, which are constantly being moved to recompose for better storytelling and all that good stuff. So, as you can probably imagine, I didn't even want to break out my primary legs, and nor did I. This was a very special morning, a very emotional morning for me. I felt like I was right where I needed to be. And so I want to share these images with you while narrating the story behind what I was thinking and how I composed them. So, enjoy. I arrived at Otter Cliff about 45 minutes prior to sunrise. I wanted to take my time and not feel anxious about the light that would soon arrive. The colors in the sky were already a hint of what was to come, and unlike other mornings, I had some cirrus clouds to work with, and they would for sure light up, adding interest to the canvas. The foreground granite here is incredibly gorgeous, with powerful leading lines, and the volume of light at this moment reveals subtle traits of their long history. With most of the sun now above the horizon, I worked along the cliffside. Shooting wide meant even the slightest shift could alter a composition. This spruce was a wonderful foreground, and I shot several images of it from different perspectives, with these next 2 shots showing how radiant the light has become with only several minutes in between images, and using side light by simply moving and pivoting myself. The sun now above the horizon, I sought out granite shapes and patterns as my foreground, as you soon see. I was immersed in the elements surrounding me. Beautiful textures throughout, the cirrus clouds playing off the right side boulder as a flow of energy now streaks across the sea, warming the rocks and feeding the vegetation. I pondered in awe how these sublime stones may have taken shape during their violent history thousands of years ago. They were incredibly photogenic as a foreground and as a subject. Their story, still a mystery to me. I could have stayed at Otter Cliff all morning, but I wanted to head back to Eagle Lake after scouting the other day. The morning light would be much better now than the mid-afternoon light from my previous scout. There were still hints of cirrus clouds, and I was hoping they'd hang around. Hey there, this next scene played out in the Eagle Lake parking lot. I had just unmounted my bike and happened to catch a pileated woodpecker in the corner of my eye. For the record, this bird has been on my list to shoot for years now. I had just so happened to bring Big Bertha, my 2 to 500 mil, and I wasn't afraid to use it. Now, I almost disregarded the opportunity to get on with my intentional shoot, but this time, I actually listened to my instincts, and this is what happened. I mounted Big Bertha without distracting my subject. I crouched down low in the parking lot while aiming and focusing my lens. It's difficult to stabilize at this focal length handheld. Not quite there. I wait. Oh, he just took flight. Where'd he go? Dang it, he turned his head. Patience. He's back down in the brush. This is a male, as told by the red cheek strip on his plumage and the red feathering cap, which is much longer than the female. I'm not going to get my shot. Not like this. Wait, he's on the move again. I quietly maneuver myself to recompose. So close. If only he'd hop up to the upper landing. He's a busy boy. I don't think he senses me anymore. I'm going to maneuver myself again. Yes, we're getting there now. I have a clear shot. Come on, show me that eye. Yes, I got it. One more. Patience. Woohoo! Got my shot. I finally made it to Eagle Lake. It's about 6:45, and it's chilly but a nice morning. I'm just going to ride around the lake. This is a nice little area that I'm just going to go ahead and try and pull out some of the beauty here. It was too early for the water lilies to bloom, but I saw a shot regardless, and I'm here. But first, I want to work the lake. There are multiple compositions right where I'm standing. Let's go. I shot wide here, and the composition felt a little unbalanced from this rock here, but my eye kept getting drawn to this grouping of trees and how the sidelight fell upon them. That was the shot, so I mounted the telephoto to get in a bit tighter. So glad I decided to come. Basically biked around the northern section of the lake and just did sort of a run and gun shoot. It was so enjoyable. It was so much fun. So here's a little collage of some of those images. This idea of a run and gun approach was so exhilarating that I plan to do more of it in the future. Free to move about and hone in on your compositions without being locked down by a tripod. And be honest, how many times have you set up your tripod and then become complacent? I have. Too many times. Not today though, and here's the difference. I like this, but the wide-angle lens is distorting the foreground rock a bit much for my taste, and I left no breathing room from the lower frame. Let's fix this. I knelt down, not today tripod, repositioned myself and pivoted my lens according to taste. Done and done. Alright. Let's try another example here. You can basically stop anywhere along this entire north side of the lake, like right here. Let's see if we can make two pretty different substantial photographs standing on this rock. Camera in hand, sorry tripod, do a little dance, feel the freedom and hone in your shot. Check that shutter one last time. Sure is pretty. A little spotty with the shadows, but acceptable. A tad heavy on the left, but Pileated does help add some balance and depth, as do a streak of clouds above it. Let's make another. With just a camera in hand, I'll traverse these rocks, enjoy the freedom of movement, macro adjustments on the fly, micro adjustments more the wise. Oh yeah, a little B&W magic, a strong foreground, pun intended, and lovely leading lines to Cadillac Mountain. Alright, let's do one more here to prove how shooting handheld lets you go home with more diverse images. I'll head back to where I made the first shot, and then I'll simply shuffle to my right, readjust my tripod, move that camera around like the human gimbal I am today, and when you feel that vibe, click. Oh, you thought I was done. There's not enough time in this video for the other run and gun shots I made. Okay, maybe one more. Run and gun. You know, can I really call it that? It's more like bike and gun. Nah, that doesn't have a flow to it. I don't know, run and gun, bike and... Can you think of anything that rhymes with bike or pedal that has to do with making a photo? I don't know. Anywho, I don't like these rocks here, but I do like this image. I decided to take an afternoon ride to the visitor center so I could buy a map. I have a thing about buying maps when visiting national parks. I don't know, a keepsake, souvenir, or just simply hanging on to memories when I actually used paper maps. In any case, I bought some stickers and a few other gifts, and then I was on my way. I did enjoy reading this map before heading out, and figured I'd see if anything jumped out at me. Besides, I was curious to see if they listed Blackwoods Campground, the camp that I was staying at, and, incidentally, one of the nicest campgrounds I've been to. My next stop was Sand Beach, but not so much for visiting the popular attraction. Nothing against Sand Beach, it's beautiful. But I was interested in something just beyond, and in order to get there, one must traverse Newport Cove to reach the trailhead, or use the parking lot at the other end at Schooner Head Road. Great Head is one of the lesser hiked trails in Acadia, and honestly, I can't believe more people don't explore this awesome trail. I understand Precipice and Beehive are Acadia's best known trails, and for good reason, but Great Head is my kind of trail. Rocky terrain and coniferous trees that make their home rooted in granite and other stone. This was going to be a delight. The loop trail is under 2 miles with an elevation of 265 feet. I'd say it's moderate for sure. A lovely hike with gorgeous ocean views along the way. Alright, so this afternoon I'm scouting out Great Head, possibly for sunrise. To access it, you have to come down to Sand Beach. Go to the far eastern side, as you can see. Western side coming down from the parking lot. Come right across, and the trailhead begins, should be over here on the far east side. And I don't think it's that far of a hike into the head. I'd say maybe half a mile or something like that, a mile. But yeah, let's see what we got. The banker J.P. Morgan owned both Sand Beach and Great Head in the early 1900s. The Fire of 47, which began in Bar Harbor, took only 3 hours to reach Great Head and burned down all of his property. And 2 years later, Great Head became part of Acadia. Only the ruins of what was a tea house can be seen today at the summit. More on that later. I always struggle with content that needs more time to tell the story. Like this hike, for example. Some will certainly want to see more of this hike instead of just a 5-second clip, especially if you're looking for information to plan your own hike here. While others may feel that I'm taking too much time and just get on with the photography. I don't normally speed ramp, really for that matter, but I did here, and you're about to get a little dizzy in this next clip. But I felt it really emphasizes this hike while reducing the clip length from 1.5 minutes to 29 seconds, which is still long, but again, this is one awesome hike, and these scenes need to be included. As photographers, we are constantly on the lookout for subjects that pique our interest. How many times have you ignored that feeling, only to wish you had stopped to make a photograph? This was a scouting mission and an enjoyable afternoon hike, but I wasn't going to pass any subjects that drew me in like a magnetic pull, and just up ahead was my first subject and my best image from this hike. What a beautiful hike. My God, there's my tree. Ooh, that's gorgeous. Might have to stop for this one. That's my kind of tree. And stop I did. I dropped my pack, grabbed my camera, and began getting to know my new friend. Okay, the problem here was the mergers. No matter where I stood, I couldn't get the right side branches clear of the background. In some cases, this is okay, but this was bugging me here, and some clouds would have been nice too. I stepped back and recomposed for better balance, as this beauty has more weight on the right branches. But now these shadows are distracting an already spotty shadowed image, and the merger was still an issue. I tried a wider shot, but the shadows worsened, and the branches at the top frame weren't working, and my subject was now just another element in the frame. I needed to go deeper, to get creative, work with this light and find something that would work. I laid down under the tree and pointed my lens straight up. I had found my composition. this is really one great hike. I mean, there's lots of lookouts like this along the way, not just the top. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I enjoyed the lookout for a bit before moving on. The ruins of J.P. Morgan's tea house was just to my left, and I imagine what it must have been like having this as your property. Oh, us little people, we shall not know these things. I often wonder, though, what the real reason is for the wealthiest people in the world to donate their land after they can no longer use it after passing. Is it really philanthropy? Perhaps. But maybe also their mindset was that if they can no longer enjoy it, then everybody will enjoy it and nobody will privately own it, all while their name lives on after death. Regardless, life is about more than just wealth, and I can't help to consider if these folks actually enjoyed all their wealth, or if it was just entangling their lives with busy matters and social events. Whew, long way up. All rock. Ah, this is going to be interesting. Whew. There's Egg Rock Lighthouse. With another fantastic day in the park and sunset just ahead, I had one more chance to make an image for a large print before leaving tomorrow. So I returned for a third visit to find a quiet and peaceful Georgian pond. The wind was absent, as were any people, and the water was calm. I was off to a good start. I took my time setting up, thinking about the compositional mistakes I'd previously made a few days ago, mainly finding balance in the foreground rocks and ensuring the bubbles weren't out of scale in proportion to my surrounding elements. I'm never happy with my compositions. They can always use improvement. In many ways, this is good as it challenges me to become a better photographer and not become complacent. And yet it's moments like these that one shouldn't be in defiance with themselves, but rather tap into all the experiences from those challenges. I was trying to get my head into that space. I kept shifting and moving, raising and lowering my camera handheld while using the backlit screen to compose. I went on instinct, disregarding the rules of composition, while eliminating any elements that were distracting or didn't really need to be in my frame. And I was getting closer to crafting an image that just maybe I can be happy with. This brings this adventure to a close. I hope you enjoyed this series in Acadia National Park. It's been an absolute joy making these videos and sharing them with like-minded and nature-loving people. If you've considered visiting Acadia but haven't, then do yourself a favor and reconsider. It's quite a spectacular place and you won't be disappointed. So what's up next? How about an adventure to the Pacific Northwest with my good friend Mark Camp as we search for Bigfoot in the forests of Oregon. Just kidding about Bigfoot, although we may have spotted one. But do join us on a wild adventure beginning at Crater Lake and then touring most of the Oregon coast, some 1,200 plus miles of mountains, sea stacks, waterfalls, caves, and other fascinating finds along US 101. You won't want to miss this series if you love photography and the great outdoors. And if you're into a little sci-fi, boy do I have a treat for you. Let's just say I may have found another wormhole.